right, Scooter Tramps and Chopper Jockeys all across the land. It's 9 p.m. almost exactly. I'm so proud.
Holy.
On the East Coast, baby. We're getting it done tonight.
That's amazing.
It is, considering the last 48 hours of our life.
Oh, my God. He's trying to kill me.
This is Shop Talk, your regular dose of all the crazy shit that's going on in the world of American custom motorcycling and more. And man, we have had some mad times. We just did a 24-hour St. Louis turnaround, which was pretty bitchin'. And I think we got you on the phone, Mark.
Can you hear me?
Oh, hey.
Oh my God, look at that. Our roving reporter is in from the road, still road dogging it. Mark Persichetti.
Yeah, that's it. We're just coming up on Indianapolis. We're moving. I have my chauffeur, Jeff Cochran, is with me. It's we're having a lot of fun. So it's been a fun trip, like you said. We've been moving like crazy. We're on our way back from Cycle Showcase, which was pretty awesome.
Epic, right? I mean,
yeah.
To use an overused word, wow, dude. Like, back in the pageant, and if you guys have never been to a Cycle Showcase, like the first 2 years it was in a place called the Pageant in St. Louis, it is one of the coolest venues I've ever been to, and it was so good to see it back there, and Randy really looked like he was in his element.
Oh, yeah. Randy was having a good time. I told him his radio accent's his look. He looks good carrying a radio, So, but yeah, ton of fun. That place is so cool. No matter which way you turn, you see something else. It's never a dull spot wherever you look.
So wait a minute. You just stop right there, because I had to leave early last night, and apparently there was some late night antics. Even Mr. Ferguson was in the house. And I saw a picture of Bill Dodge renting bowling shoes and Jeff Cochran whipping a ball down the lane.
Jeff Cochran actually was having some issues and came back to win the game and beat Pat Patterson. Pat Patterson actually owes Jeff Cochran a bowling shirt right now. He actually beat him in the last two frames. He was killing it. And he owes all of his bowling skills to Grimey, just to let everybody know. Grimey's the one that taught him how to bowl, apparently. So it was interesting. There was a lot of fun. The end got pretty exciting. We had pulled out, and we hear that it got even more fun with Gary Thomas having to go retrieve Bill Dodge's shoes, phone, and glasses from a drunk guy who thought they were his. It was it was pretty interesting. So.
All right. Well, listen, we didn't actually officially start this show the right way. Let me stop for 1 second. This is Shop Talk every Sunday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We come to you with 90 to 120 minutes, all the bullshit we can fit. Brought to you by the Russ Brown Motorcycle Attorneys. We're in the Russ Brown Motorcycle Attorney studio, coming to you live. Tonight we got a great guest, Chris Graves, absolute wild talent. All around good human being. But hey, man, here's the biggest thing about Shop Talk. This is not us just preaching shit at you guys. We want you to be involved. So if you look off to the side there, we have the chat menu is coming up now, and we're starting to see all the comments and the people from Choppertown all over the world checking in. Chris is better looking than Mark tonight. You only say that because I got Mark's, your stunt double's in the chair right now.
Oh, right on, yeah.
It's almost,
they're trying to make me look good.
It's almost unbearable that to not have you in the studio. Terrible. Blondie, what's up with social media tonight?
Let's see. We have Tim Kearns in the house, Jason Sims, Brian Nichols, Ben Cudon. Hey, Ben. Ashley Woodford, Drew Woodford, Greg White is here. Eric Christensen from Spectro Oil is joining us. Jason Anderberg. And that's just Bill Stevens, Brenda, and Jack. Hey, guys. Haven't seen you in a bit. Hope all is well. That's just on our Facebook page. I haven't even gotten over to the other channels yet. So thank you all for tuning in. And especially, I think there's some like sports ball thing going on somewhere in the world tonight.
I know there's a foosball tournament.
Yeah, so I appreciate.
You know what? I'm not watching it. I'm not watching the damn Super Bowl. They started playing all the commercials 2 weeks out. There's no reason for me to watch anymore. You know?
Yeah, that's usually the best part at this time. So, and we were actually right in Super Bowl area. The Chiefs are playing, And after Cycle Showcase, Randy was having a chili party. They were putting a big screen TV up, and everybody was staying and watching the game. So,
check it out. Mike Rabideau is in the house. Mike, buddy.
How are you doing? How is your knee, dude? Like, so sorry about that.
Oh, my God.
Did you have surgery? Are you in one piece? What's going on?
Yeah, we had a lot of talking about Mike this weekend, huh?
Yeah, if you guys out there, if you haven't seen the video of Magic Mike kicking that bike and literally destroying his leg in the process, hit the floor.
Don't watch it. Your stomach will hurt.
No, yeah.
Oh, it's
seriously.
brutal. Brian Nichols, no Patriots in it. How can you care, Heather? You know, Brian, I have to be honest, and I this isn't going to start a political thing. I used to be a huge football fan, especially, which was interesting living in a Steelers house. I'm Patriots through and through. However, when that whole like take a knee stuff started a few years ago, I completely stopped watching football, and I won't give them my time or my money anymore. So I don't really pay attention.
Not that it's going to go political or not, but here's something political. Hey, here's
right.
Here's something fun. Since it is wintertime, and this is our second favorite season in the world, you know, closely following the time that we actually get to ride motorcycles, we've been in the garage around the clock, man. So much good stuff happening in the garage. And I think rather than our typical, we normally start the show off with news, tonight we're going to go straight into Tech Tip, man. Hang on. Welcome to another episode of Grease and Gears Garage. We're back in the shop today, doing the work of the Twisted T build for this year. So I'm working on this dirty old suspension. I figured this was a good opportunity to show you guys a cool new tool that we got in the shop. Not necessarily a new tool, but it's new to us. The pivot bikes from Motion Pro. Anybody that does this knows that like almost no matter how you work on suspension, it's a kind of a dirty job. This is a fantastic tool. Literally $360 to make your life easier. So I'm digging it. I'm going to show it to you guys and see what you think. I want to thank, Joe and everybody over at Motion Pro for helping us outfit the Grease and Gears Garage. So I'm basically just going to tear this thing down because we're going to take the fork legs and we're going to shave all the mounts off to make them into chopper stuff and then send them out to the powder coater. So that's the first order on my day's business. We want to get these apart because the tubes themselves are kind of old and cruddy, and we're gonna actually put a new set of shiny tubes on, and that whole thing starts with just taking all this shit apart. And like I said, this is always a dirty job. Having the right tool makes it a lot better. Go ahead and take a look at that for a second. Let me grab a paper towel. Anytime I get a tool in the shop where I can do something by myself without waiting for a buddy to come home from work, that's a good tool. So this helps with that. Holding on to things while you work. Plus, Motion Pro obviously makes tools. Guys that actually do stuff make these tools. So little things like little tray right there to put your parts in, make it kind of nice. Plus just the tray itself, if you look over on the other side here, there's a little drain plug. So, working on your fork, you can just let all that shit slide down and so this was off of an old Softail that we had that we built into something else. And now we have an old Sportster that we're building into something else. Okay, so this is one of the things I wanted to show you. So here we are with our suspension coming apart. I'm going to take the tray and just move it out of the way for a minute. And that'll be down there. Put the tray back. Okay, I'm not good at putting back, but Now I want to get to this bolt up here. I'm literally just going to pull this pin and pivot this thing. Find the stop spot. Okay, so right there it's in an angle that I can work on it. And also, now I'm going to take the opportunity to remove the vise. And if you guys are wondering, they call this a soft vise because of the material that it's made out of. I was wondering like why there wasn't pads or something in there, but I guess the soft aluminum that it's made from keeps it from scoring anything. Now all I'm going to do is this front jaw of the vise, I'm moving the pins out. You can see what I did right there, and I'm doing that so that I get a wider grip. I'm going to take my hole shock and put it in this way. So now that's going to hold that for me. Bust that loose. And again, you know, anytime I can do something where I don't have to wait for somebody to come help me, I'm better off. And like, you know, like I said, if this was a fresh fork, there'd be oil pouring out of this for days, so just better off, you know, better off that it's over top of that tray. Take and get the boot off. Retaining clip off for the seal. A couple taps and I get the assembly out of the way. Now, again, made by people who use tools. So the tray, you can slip around to the back. And then it's got this neat holder back here so that the parts you're working on, you can just continue to drain while you're doing other stuff. Maybe I have it right, maybe I don't. Alright, so with that our fork leg is emptied out. We're going to take this to the parts cleaner, and then we're going to go through the steps of chopping these mounting blocks off roughly. We'll take this over to the lathe, put it in the lathe, turn them down a little bit, and sandblast the whole thing, then it's off to powder coat. Again, this is Chris with Cycle Source Magazine's Grease and Gears Garage, Motion Pro Tools. Go check them out online. So here's the thing, man, like, you know, I don't want that to come out like a big commercial, because literally in the garage, when you find a good tool, Mark, you know this, like for a long time when we were back in the days of working in body shops and stuff, if you came up with a good tool, Snap-on would pay you on the spot. Like if you made a tool, Snap-on bought it right then, because there is nothing better in the shop than something that'll save you even 5 minutes. And if that is 5 minutes of frustrating hair pulling, screaming, it's awesome.
Yeah. Time is money. Yeah, time is money. No questions asked.
Yep.
So the answer to that question is you can get that at motionpro.com. I put that link up, and I also put a link up direct to that specific tool. It comes in at $359.99. So you can check it out there for Motion Pro.
David Zeke is asking, I'm late to the party, what are we working on? So we're actually in the process of building the 2020 Twisted Tea sweepstakes bikes that we're going to be unveiling in Daytona. And in the middle of all that, you know, we do the regular chopper stuff. We had a old wide glide front end that we want to make into a nice new wide glide front end, so we tear it apart, got it. We're just tonight I was at the shop on Mark's lathe turning down the legs, and that was interesting. There's a couple things I don't want to admit to on the show here, but
those are the good things. Those are the things they want to hear.
You can watch that. You can watch that segment coming up, because it's funny. In the beginning, I'm like, you know, I saw Bill Dodge do this whole thing by hand with an electric grinder, and you know, I admitted right there, I'm not as cool as Bill. Like, I don't got it like that, man. Like he's like seriously an artist. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
so good with that thing. I took a cutter and I whacked off big chunks of the mounts, and I'm like, that's good enough, until I stood 5 hours in
I was
front of the
going to say,
lathe.
should we tell him how long you were in front of the lathe? He's like,
Son of a bitch!
oh, he left. He's like, I'll be back in like an hour. I went,
Because
uh-huh.
I was moving too fast. There was too many things going on, and when I got over there, I chucked it up. I put the live end in, and I'm like, man, this is gonna take forever.
I checked on him every couple hours. I'm like, you okay? You still doing all
Bill
right over
actually,
there?
Me and Bill had actually done that a couple of times on Greasing Gears live on stage. It's it can be trying. It's not as easy as it looks, but and like you said, it's not raw. It's not a guarantee. So you do mess up, but luckily you have a guy like you that can take that, put it on a lathe, and repair it. You know what I mean? It could have been way worse.
And it's nice to go from both ends of the spectrum, because not everybody has a lathe, but I think that's something that almost anybody who does motorcycle stuff, like they aspire to have a lathe, and it's not that it's not that hard anymore. There's good quality pieces out there, and you can pick one up and throw it in your shop. And even if you're just you become the place where guys come to when they need a spacer or this made or that made. It's awesome.
Bill Stevens
they're
says
definitely nice to have. So
sorry about that, Mark. Bill Stevens says he wishes he had all of that space. Can you say that to Chris a couple more times, Bill? Because almost every day I hear, my shop's not big enough.
Hey.
Yeah, no matter how big your garage is, you always need a bigger one. So
I know. I think if I remember correctly, Bill's working out of like 12 by 12 or something like that.
Oh, and listen, I know our brothers up in New York City, like, it never ceases to amaze me. When I go up there, those guys are genius.
They're like in a closet.
But they're also like Da Vinci, man, because they'll take 12 feet of space and separate it into 16 layers that like come down on pulleys. And, today the shop turns into fab shop, boom, and the whole floor drops down, and it's all the fab tools.
Yeah, right. Hey, anybody wants to see something amazing and what you can actually do in such a small area, stop into Lead Sled shop for 5 minutes.
Right.
There's another shop that's like so small for what they produce. It's crazy.
Oh man, and they all they have this whole rhythm going. It's like they dance. They never bump into each other.
It's amazing. Right?
It's just like this great flow that they have. I stood on the stairs with my back against the wall just to make sure I didn't get in anyone's way.
Hey, I remember at times where for me to stand at the lathe, if Joe wanted to weld, I had to stop working to get out of his way. I'd have to go to another part of the shop and do something else. So yeah, it's definitely, like you said, Heather, it's almost like watching a choreographed dance sometimes.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And that you have a good groove with the people you work with when you can get a flow like that and a space like that.
And it also was like a choreographed dance. Every once in a while, Pat would show up and do something.
Bill Stevens works out of a 9 by 12.
Right on.
So you best be thankful.
Hey, Nick, right. I'm going to ask all my machine shop guys out there to comment for a little bit here. I got the comment box up. Nick Hildebrittle is asking, what's a good lathe? How big? And my immediate answer is about $1,000. If you
He didn't ask how much.
I know, but I'm just saying, like, if you spend in the neighborhood of $1,000, like, you get one on Marketplace or Craigslist or something, around $1,000 is going to be a decent lathe. No matter if it's a South Bend, one of the import lathes, you're going to get something that's it's pretty good. But I'll ask
you don't have to spend a ton of money. I mean, like you said, the lathe that we have at the shop is I think I only paid $600 for that.
Yeah.
And it took a little bit. You had to finesse it, and I'm not real good visually. It's hard for me to run, so, you're normally the guy that runs it. But, it took a bit to finesse it, and you had issues at first, but, you took your time, and you do great with that thing now. You do some really nice work with it now. So, you don't have to spend a lot of money.
I think that thing really, like, what's that have, a 3-foot bed? It's not it's not a very big lathe at all, but it does a ton of stuff, man.
Yep. Yeah, it's never let us down yet. I mean, you've been able to pull almost everything we need off of that, and then you always have Ed Fish at your fingertips, so that's a big help.
He's
buddy.
awesome. Mr. Fish is the best.
Yeah, hey, and you know what I love about Ed? Ed is so generous with his time and everything, but he's also a very patient man. And maybe that comes with age, but like when Ed comes down to the shop, he'll be like, this thing here is supposed to turn the lathe on and off. Why doesn't yours? And I'm like, I don't know. And he goes,
Just nod your head and say, okay, yeah, right.
Well, even more so, Chris will go to him and he'll be like, hey, Mr. Fish, I have this idea.
I want this
thing to do this and go this way and that way. And he just says, And then like a week later, he's got it figured out. And he's like, that's pretty cool.
He's always so enthusiastic about pitching in and being a part of it, too.
Yeah,
it's like he makes you feel good about working with him, you know?
At this point, I'd be turning my lights off when I saw us come up the driveway.
Right. Bill Stevens says Craftsman 3.5 Chuck 24-inch bed does wonders.
Now here's a question. Here's a question again for the professional machine shop guys. So everybody asks right away, you know, the difference between, you know, like regular power, 220 3-phase. What's the difference in those? And then three jaw chuck and 4 jaw chuck is a lot of topics. But like for, you know, as a beginner, do you really need to go up to that? Do you need the 4 jaw chuck? Do you need something that's 220 or 3-phase? Like, you know, what's a good entry level for a lot of our garage guys? I'll look for the comments. So while we load those up, like I said earlier, every Sunday, 9 p.m., we do a little thing called Shop Talk. 120 minutes, all the bullshit we can fit. We usually start it off with a little thing we like to call the news. First up in the news tonight, and huge headline. Komodo Holdings acquired J&P Cycles to further expand the Komodo family of brands. So if you guys aren't familiar with Komodo, one of their big acquisitions was Revzilla and Cycle Gear. Today announced it's acquired J&P Cycles, the industry's largest omni-channel retailer of aftermarket products for the American V-twin rider. With this acquisition, Komodo Holdings becomes the definitive market leader in yet another robust segment of the power sports aftermarket products industry. Yeah.
So
robust is a stretch, but yeah.
Yeah. I like the word, though. It was a great attempt.
So
I like the word robust.
By all outward appearances right now, from the few people that I've had the opportunity to talk to, they are going to maintain the individual brand. It will still be J&P Cycles. Obviously, some things will get folded in, I imagine, because there doesn't need to be 2 of everything. But I think, you know, if it still continues what John started, then maybe it'll be a good thing. I don't know. We'll have to see, right?
You're setting me up for a smart-ass rant here, aren't you? You're baiting me in.
I said perhaps it could be a thing. Because, you know, and Patrick Garvin said this today. And Patrick's worked with J&P for a while, as we all know, and he comes on here fairly regularly. He said, you know, one thing that we have to remember, people are, you know, saying it's a behemoth, it's a monopoly. Well, the people that started Revzilla were 3 guys in a dorm room. And John Parham started J&P Cycles, which is what it is today, out of the back of his car at a swap meet. Yeah. So
John Parham, though, until the, and I'm not going to say this about everybody because, like, Lemmy at Revzilla, Lemmy's the real deal. I don't know any of the other guys, so I won't even comment about them. But John Parham was literally one of the engineers that built this entire thing that we do. And almost until the day he died, you would see him pop up at every event that there was. He could never,
absolutely.
He couldn't even stop himself. You know what I mean? He was such a part of this.
And I guess what I was saying,
it was his life. Yeah.
I think what I was trying to say is I would rather see a company like Komodo do it and maintain J&P Cycles, I think, than to see J&P Cycles go away, if that was a potential. So that's where I was going with that.
I agree.
My apprehension comes in when I think about the trend, and this is not motorcycling, man. Like this is a cultural thing for the whole of the United States. Like pretty much now, you can save your time of even going to a store. Don't go to a store anymore. Just get your Amazon Prime membership. Make sure you have that shit paid up so you can watch your television, order shit that's going to be shipped to you tomorrow. You know what I mean? Like, it's
Dude, look,
it's scary. It's
we just
scary,
went through
man.
that. We
Oh,
just went through
Patrick
that
said-
looking for the parts for the pistons. The tools for the pistons. Same exact thing.
Yeah.
We ran around like maniacs, and in 5 minutes you sat at home and waited for the tool to come.
Yeah, and dude, all we were looking for, what he's talking about, we went out the other day because we're doing an S&S 883 to 1200 deal on this Sportster, and all I was looking for, the only thing you have to do as a garage mechanic with this kit that S&S sends you, other than you're supposed to replace the cylinder head bolt studs. I'm going to now, but I got lectured about that. Anyway.
So
But now that
Lemmy
you
is
said
no
that
longer
live-
with Revzilla.
Yeah, I know. I just saw
Oh,
that.
okay. Sorry.
But the only thing that you have to do is fit the piston ring gaps, right? So I went out. I'm like, I don't even know what happened to mine. Like, I can remember a few years ago seeing it in the bottom of a drawer, and the wheel was apart and the handle was somewhere else. So I went to get one, and you know what I'm talking about, like the little, you turn the wheel and you push the ring in, and it, like, you know, I like that thing. Yes, I know you can use a manual file and it works just as good, but I like that little tool. And all I wanted to do was go to a parts store and buy one, right?
Well, you get a nice even file with that, like
Right.
you were saying, and that was the reason you wanted to get that specifically. You know.
So Mark and I go out, and would we hit 3-4 stores? And I mean, not like
3.
chicken shit auto parts stores, man. We were at
the
Napa
big one.
first of all, yeah, you know. Oh,
And this Napa has a lot of tools. They have rows
Yeah.
of tools. I mean, it's a friend of ours that runs. Well, of course, you all know Russ by now. You have to. But they have all the tools. He normally has everything that we need. And like Chris was getting more and more disgusted by the time we started looking and waiting. And we're like, oh, let's try here, let's try there. And you were right though, 100%. You should have just never left your house.
Yeah.
As sad as
and
it is.
that is sad, man. That is sad, because I want to.
Yep.
And you know, here's what I can say about this from inside industry talk, because we obviously knew about this thing with Komodo a little ahead of time. And when I started to get the backstory about these guys, why they started getting into the motorcycle part of things, it was based on their estimation of what industry has, you know, the least amount of service go on for what they do. And I mean, seriously, the stuff that they've done with Revzilla, they put a lot into that, man. They really do. It's a pretty impressive network. So, you know, hopefully it won't go the way of Amazon, because, like, you know, Amazon is as great as the services are that they provide. If you ever have a problem, you're screwed. Forget it. There's no way. You're not just going to call someone and ask for help there. Trust me.
Yeah, they won't answer their phone.
Yeah. All right, let's move on. I get older by the moment here. Royal Enfield. Next up in the news, Royal Enfield announces Build, Train, Race program for female enthusiasts. This coming in from Road Racing World and Motorcycle Technology. Milwaukee, Wisconsin, January 28, 2020. Royal Enfield North America announced today its Build, Train, Race program for 2020. Over the course of the next 2 months, 4 women, each with unique background, will customize Royal Enfield INT 650 motorcycles for flat track competition. The motorcycles will debut during Flat Out Friday on March 13th in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, where the women will compete in the all-new 749C class aboard their custom flat track motorcycles. The women participating in the Build, Train, Race program are professional road racer Melissa Paris, women's moto exhibit creator Leneklia McNaughton. You're setting me up again, aren't you, Heather? DIY shop owner Andrea Lothrop, and amateur flat track racer Jillian Deschnes. Not even close, right? That last
I
one.
would say that was
way off.
Deshanes.
Deshanes, I'm sorry. I'm blind and old.
You got
So,
most of them right.
you know, I'm excited about this. I'm surprised to hear that, like, you know, the thing with Flat Out Friday is going so well, they're actually doing build classes for it. That's far out.
I think that's pretty
What's
awesome.
the time frame? How far off is Flat Out Fridays?
March 13th.
So they have a little bit of time.
Yeah,
A minute.
I'm sure
They have
they
a whole
got.
minute.
I'm sure they already got started on this. We're just all hearing about it now.
Well, I hope so, because if not, then we need them to come work with us because we do everything in like 4 days. So, you know, as I was leaving Cycle Showcase today, everybody's like, dude, you guys are nuts. You guys build motorcycles literally in like 3 weeks. You know, you should give yourself time. And then my return line was, you do realize Chris and Heather drove 10 hours to stay for 5 hours to drive 10 hours. So, yeah, they got it by the time it was over.
Dude, it was worth every minute we were there, though.
Hell, the ice cream was worth it.
No.
The Bulldogs and the ice cream.
Screw the ice cream. Screw the motorcycles even. They could have had, I'd pay $5 at the door just to get in to kiss Bulldog puppies all day.
The ice cream.
It was awesome.
Right. No, the Bulldogs were pretty awesome.
Oh, yeah.
I guess there were more there today. They were so awesome.
I can say the 5 minutes with Smalls and Bobby Seeger's dogs on the sidewalk was classic. It was very, very fun. It was something that we talked about hours after you guys left. It was pretty fun.
I totally missed it. Yeah, our little Smalls isn't the brightest bulb.
He sure
super entertaining. That's okay. There was 3 of them that were exactly the same, so it was great.
Oh, so they were all big dummies? That's great.
Yep. Well, Heather, we ought to get to the phone lines and see if we can get our first guest on. Why don't you tell everybody who we have coming on?
I'm very excited about this. Our first guest is Chris Graves. Some of you may know him from his own personal company, Fast Eddie Co., or you may know him as a mechanical engineer for Harley Davidson. Chris, we've had Chris on, I think, before. However, in the capacity of an invited builder for Michael Lichter's Motorcycles as Art. That was a mouthful. However, he's coming on tonight to tell us about Fast Eddie Company, where he makes specialty tools built to last a lifetime for everything Harley related, pretty much. To put it plain and simple. Sorry, I'm reading his about page to make sure I don't completely fumble it up, but I'm really excited to have him on. Again, he's not just from corporate Harley. He does do this. He does get dirty, and he's in the trenches with the rest of you guys. So it should be a good conversation.
Hey, you there?
Yep. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah. Sorry about that, man. We're coming back from a long road trip. I think everybody's head's fried.
Oh, yeah.
So, listen, thanks for coming on with us, dude. Super excited to have you here.
Yeah. Stoked to be here in my attic.
You're in the attic. We're in the basement. Mark's on the road. The world's crazy.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, at least we have all the bases covered.
Yes, sir.
So, Chris, we've had you on before when you were a builder with Michael Lichter's show. And at the time, I have to be honest, I don't think we were aware of Fast Eddie.
Yeah, it's something that it's really been picking up for me over the last year or so that I've really decided to dive into and develop more product. It's kind of a new endeavor.
Right on. Well, can you tell us a little bit? Tell everybody who doesn't know a little bit about your background and then why you decided to start a specialty tool company.
Well, I always loved tools, but I mean, even more so, I love motorcycles. My background is 100% revolved around motorcycles for the last 20 years. And that kind of, in a backwoods way, led me into engineering school. And for the last 8 years, I've been an engineer for, with Harley Davidson. And the tools are just something I've really tried to focus on in my spare time.
Dude, I want this neck cup installer. So I want that.
Have you tried it?
No, I haven't. But I'm looking at it, and I've done enough of this with every other manner of backwoods hillbilly shit you can imagine. I want that tool.
Yeah, for sure. People have used hydraulic presses, like throw their frame up in a press and use that.
Yep.
I've met several people who do that. But what I did when I developed that was I tried a bunch of different thrust bearings and thrust washers and configurations before I settled on one, and I machined a a steering head that was at the tightest tolerance close. So in other words, like the smallest one you'd ever come across,
Right.
and found through a pile of neck cups, found the biggest oversized Chinese neck cups, just like the hardest press fit made it work.
Oh man, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Right on. Well, that's, we were just a little bit ago, this is Chris, by the way, but we were just a little bit ago talking about the fact that we've been going through a bunch of Motion Pro stuff, setting our shop up a little bit different and doing some like live product testing. And it's like, hands down, always the best tools come out of guys who are actually using stuff. You can always tell when you pick a tool up and it was somebody in the marketing department that said, hey, these are selling really good in X, Y, and Z store. We should have
Right.
one too. But
Yep.
when it's someone that day in and day out is using that stuff, you can tell.
Yeah, I pride myself on that too, because I feel the same way. Sometimes you buy a tool and you go to use it and you think to yourself, man, did these guys use it before they kind of like settled on it? It's like if they did, they probably would have fixed these minor little annoyances or things like that. So what I'll do is when I perform a task like, press on a sprocket shaft bearing or something, I make notes of what I like and don't like about current tools and then kind of think about how to fix them.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And it's nice.
And
It looks like you and your wife both are involved in this. She handles the creative and the branding, and you handle the tooling.
Yeah, that's exactly right. She's way more creative than I am when it comes to all things visual. So she'll do like all the T-shirts, any stickers, graphics. Started out with the website layout, but I think she got tired of that, so I kind of had to learn how to do that. But yeah, anything visuals, she helps me out with.
Nice. So that gives you guys a project to work together on.
Yeah, otherwise it'd look like an engineer did it,
Right. I know. Chris is definitely the creative on our end too. He's like, oh, just do this. I'm like, okay, whatever you say. How do you decide through your process what tools you're going to make or what tools are going to be the most valuable in somebody's shop?
Oh man, that's an awesome question. So the way I started thinking about it is what you really need. I mean, like a lot of things, there's a lot of specialty tools out there that cost $200 or whatever that, like for instance, press a main drive gear into a transmission, or things that like an arbor press and a mallet, can really get you by. It's not like a fundamental tool. It's a nice to have, but it's not like you need it. But there's certain tools, if you want to do your own top end or you want to do your own bottom end, that you just cannot get by without and still do it right, So I really try to focus on those tools first, and I'm just expanding from there.
No, man, that was one of the things in reading your website when we were getting ready for a pre-show, and some here. Let me read it so I don't say the wrong thing. The one quote about every time you work on something, you learn something, and it feels pretty damn good to know your bike inside and out. This is something that we try to explain to people that all the stuff that we do with motorcycles. It's not so that you can sit in a parking lot and tell people what a badass you are because you can weld or you can use a notcher and a bender and stuff like that. The actual act of doing stuff, like it's empowering and invigorating, and every time I get an opportunity, like Missy showed up here and she needs her Evo motor rebuilt, and I'm like, cool, I got to pick up a couple tools because I'm going to get to do Missy's motor and I need these few tools. So it's an opportunity for me to get in and do something, And I love
you really do.
tools, of course, and to purchase a tool.
Oh, yeah.
That's an important part of that whole thing.
Yeah, like I said, there's a lot of things that you can get by without, but sometimes if you want to do it, it's like a valve spring compressor. That was the first thing I came out with because, I already had a valve spring compressor, but I thought it just always kind of stung in the back of my mind paying the kind of money I paid for that valve spring compressor and to see what it was. So I thought I could make one and sell it for a little bit less and have a lot of features to actually make it work better. And so those are some of the kind of thoughts that have propelled me the direction I've gone.
Well, and that's a big thing, too, that you said right there. Like, most of us, I think, have had valve spring compressors that come from the auto world. and you can make that stuff work. Like I was just saying about, I've done this 122 different hillbilly backwoods ways.
Yep.
You can make those tools work, but there's nothing like having a tool that was specifically made for the stuff that you're doing. When you're working on a motorcycle, a valve spring compressor that has the different size cups on the end of it, and is actually made for getting around a motorcycle head. It's not something you have to adapt that's from the car world. Is totally different.
Yeah. Although what's funny is like some of the first people I'd sold those valve spring compressors to, they used it on, all kinds of big twins, and from Ironheads to, Evo Sportsters and whatnot. A couple dudes also used them on small block Chevys. So
Right
it's like
on.
went backwards,
Turn
But I
about.
know exactly what you mean. And it's like taking one of the second tools I came out with was a pinion gear puller, because it's one of those things that it's like you really can't get by without. You're not going to be able to get the thing off with a pry bar and a torch, or you're going to do some damage.
Right.
But, there's like a 3-jaw automotive puller that maybe if you're clever and you got some time to kill, you might be able to get it to work, but it's just not efficient.
So I don't claim to know much about tools. I'm learning, and I do work in the shop with Chris as much as I can, so I can learn. But these all look really rugged and like they're going to last forever.
Yeah, that's my that's kind of my approach. I want people to buy something they feel like is overbuilt, and that they feel like they got a good deal on, and that they feel like they can pass down. Like I have some of my favorite
heirloom quality.
Yeah. Some of my favorite tools are my grandpa's tools, and tools that I got. Wait, he's been dead 20 years. He doesn't even, he would have no idea they ended up with me, but they're some of my favorite tools. I've got like a slide hammer from the 40s that's just bulletproof, and I know it'll be around for generations to come. So hopefully some of our stuff is that way too.
That's awesome. I know it's always frustrating. Chris will get something that he needs for a job, and he'll be like, this is what I just paid X $100 for. I'm going to be lucky if it gets me through this one job. So I think that's fantastic.
You first talk about the differences between these pinion gear pullers.
I really do dig the pinion gear puller. We just had that up too. I think we might have lost Mark. That's what went on there.
Okay.
He'll be back.
I totally lost my train of thought with the do. Do you have, now you said you have intentions of expanding your tool line. What do you think you're going to put out next? And how long of a process does it take you to develop a new tool?
It depends on like how difficult it is to machine, because I just have a mill and a lathe, and I design them all in CAD, and sometimes I'll do that first. Sometimes I'll just start machining things and try them out, but I'll always machine a prototype and try that out and make sure everything's dialed, and then make revisions, and then I'll hire a couple of CNC shops to make parts, or I'll make parts in-house. Like a lot of the valve spring compressor parts I make in-house, so it takes me like a month to make a batch of those, because I'm trying to hold down a day job and whatnot too. But the product development process can be as quick as 3-4 weeks to a couple of months, but there's a lot of irons in the fire.
Oh, I'm sure. Because especially where you want to make sure the quality is there.
Yeah.
So, and do you use mostly local CNC shops for your production when you can?
Yeah. Yep. We try to stick 100% in the Milwaukee or Racine area. So I use like a centerless grinding shop that's like right down the road in Cudahy for these connecting rod alignment tools, and just all local shops where it's done right in my garage by me. Some of that stuff is machined on a manual lathe still. I just crank them out.
That's awesome.
Yeah, if you can make fixtures for something and really make it repeatable, and if it's cost effective, that's the thing. Is like, I really want people to feel happy that I want them to feel like there was some value in what they got.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's so infrequent nowadays, where you get something, number one, that is completely made here or handmade, and built to last. That's a rare thing nowadays.
Yeah, it's not too common. And when I'm making a lot of tools, sometimes I think to myself, that I understand why. Just because it can be a ton of work, but but it's all worth it in the end. And hopefully one day soon I'll be doing this full time.
Outstanding.
But problem solving is kind of that's part of your career path, right? I mean, that's
that's exactly right.
When a person like that, because that's a huge part of what I do too, like, and not in official capacity, but it's something inside of a person like that. It drives you for things like that, man. Like, I'm always going to Heather and saying, hey, I have this killer idea for something, and
awesome.
putting all the pieces together to make that happen. Like, it's a sickness, it's almost
Do you ever
something
keep
you
track
have.
of them? Like, keep track of your ideas like that?
Oh yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
He should. I think he does, but he should have a book with him at all times. I will say that, because some of them are really great ideas. And I think one of the things is he's really open about sharing his ideas. So when it's not something that he or I can necessarily implement, he'll absolutely pass that on to somebody that he knows that can. So one way or another, it comes to fruition. Sometimes we're like, damn, I wish we could have done that. But at least it's happening. And somebody's getting something out of it. So I think it's been really great.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
So tell us about the wedding picture, because these pictures keep rolling while we're talking.
Oh, man. So we, you guys know countless motorcycle photographers. And when Kristen and I decided to get married, or when she actually said yes, we knew that we had to find a wedding photographer. But I don't want to ask my friends that have shot bikes. I was really nervous about asking my friends that have shot bikes to shoot the wedding. But I asked Ken Carvajal was the first person I asked, and he said yeah. So I was super, super stoked on that. And he got some of the best pictures. I mean, we're going to enjoy those forever. They're just really neat images, not just the motorcycle riding, but he just crushed it throughout the whole wedding.
Well,
it's great.
That one pack shot of all you guys, like, it makes me feel like that's going to be one of those historic images that kids look back at. When we're all old and gray, kids are going to look at that and try to imagine what was going on in our time in this.
Man, that's neat to think about. I hope you're right. It was funny watching him shoot that, because he had about 30 seconds to do it from just how the freeways are and where he was in the wrong lane, and he was sticking his head out of the sunroof of like his wife was driving a tiny little, almost like a Mini Cooper or something,
Yeah.
But
oh, that's great. That's great. And I mean, images like that are priceless. Like, I'm partial. Chris and I actually got married at the end of Sturgis a few years ago. And very much you, we didn't ask anybody. Like, you didn't want to ask the people that shoot for you all the time, oh, can you come to my wedding, but I want you to work.
Right.
So in the haste of everything, because everybody's like, oh, Sturgis biker wedding. Well, we actually had a proper wedding. And it turned out beautiful, but it ended up that everybody we knew decided they were going to shoot this wedding. So it worked out really well.
We were blessed.
So you had all the wedding pictures.
Yeah, it was awesome.
It was great. It
was awesome. There's this Heather and I have a neat story, because when I met her, she was managing all the Broken Spokes, and the first place that we ever had a kiss was on the shoe shine stand at the Broken Spoke. So
wow.
They let us drag that shoe shine stand all the way out by this place called Hot Rod Lake, and we took a bunch of our wedding pictures on it, and it was
great.
Damn, when was that?
2015.
Oh, awesome.
It was actually I think it was the last year. It was actually the Broken Spoke before Michael Ballard bought it and made it full throttle.
Yeah.
So that little lake with all the cars as the banks, that's where we got married.
Man, that's so. What time of year? Like during
Sturgis? It was
at
the very last day of Sturgis. So pretty much everyone was gone, and we decided we're going to have a wedding. So mostly because the way we wanted our honeymoon. We got married on Saturday, had the big wedding thing, and then the next day we got on the motorcycle and left for 3 weeks.
Oh man, that sounds like a hell of a honeymoon.
It was the greatest trip of my life.
2 tents and a sleeper bag, baby.
No itinerary, no schedule. We just knew we were going west, north, and then south.
In no particular order. Yeah.
Nope,
That's great.
it was the best trip ever because we would just ride until he got tired. Some days we'd spend, 2 days in a place or 3 days, or it was incredible. I
Man.
highly recommend
Yeah.
it.
So
I wish I had more vacation. I wish I could take like unpaid time off from my job, because I would totally do that. Take an extra couple weeks a
Right.
year and just, what I mean? Like, living is a little more important sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. And since that, it just worked out that it was the perfect opportunity. We took 18 days and did that. We have not had a consecutive 4 days since then to repeat it, but I would do it again in a heartbeat. And I think the greatest thing is, just like you have deadlines. We have that deadline every 30 days, and to not have a schedule and to not say, oh, we're going to be here on this day and we're going to do this. We just went, and when we got tired, it was like, okay, let's find the nearest campground.
It was probably hard to get used to for the first few days, like not having
even
to
a
worry
little
about
bit.
dude,
Nope.
I'll tell you the biggest thing was it really pissed people off.
Yeah, people that knew we were in their area.
The approach that we took of we're not going anywhere specific, because everybody, oh, make sure you stop and see this person or you have to see that, but we wouldn't make any plans, and people were furious.
Oh yeah, they were like, oh, when you're coming through Northern California, are you gonna stop? Can you stop and see us? And we're like, we don't know.
Yeah.
Like, we literally just don't know what we're doing. And it worked
that trip
out.
wasn't about anybody else,
No, and it was literally the greatest trip I have ever taken in my life. I'd like to do it again, like just in different parts of the country.
Well, let's
Man,
let's
take
stop
me with
talking
you.
about us, because that's a horrible habit to get into.
Well,
I want to talk more about Chris, because I was lucky enough to do your interview when we recently had your motorcycle in the magazine, and talking about let's speak on you coming into having a job at Harley and like how you got to that point, because that was one of the coolest parts of your story.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's pretty much just grit and determination, I mean, through a long story short, I had a motorcycle shop back in the day, when everybody was fat, dumb, and happy before the crash, and I was really young, but I thought I knew everything, and and then I didn't. I started to figure out that I didn't, and I got into engineering school 100% because of motorcycles. I mean, motorcycles put me there, and I was 24 years old when I went to college. And I never took any of that stuff in high school. I never took physics or chemistry or calculus. And in the first semester, I had all those. So it was kind of like sink or swim. But I did the best I could possibly do and poured myself into it. And 4 years later, came out a mechanical engineering graduate of the University of Utah, and then worked as a mechanical engineer in Salt Lake City for a year and a half. But from the time before I graduated through that 18 months, I had applied to Harley, I think, like 26 times or something like that. I mean, I just kept going, like, eventually, this is going to work. And then when they flew me up there for an interview one time, I had this interview, and it was extremely technical. They're throwing everything at me they can about, like, what do you know about bolted joints? Go. And, you just, like, it was extremely technical. And the guy who later became my boss, he was a tough interviewer. I mean, he was just stone-faced. I was like, I'm giving this guy everything he needs. I felt like I was knocking it out, and he's just straight-faced, just staring me down. And I'm thinking, when I got out of there, oh, man, guess I didn't get that one. And then I found out, like, a few months later, I mean, after I moved here, that they walked out, and they're like, that's our guy. I just never would have guessed that he felt that way.
That's awesome. That's so great.
Yeah.
So that was in 2012, and I was an engineer there for 4 years, and then I kind of shifted my career to product management and parts and accessories for 3 years, and now I'm back in engineering.
Did you make the choice to go back to engineering because that's where you preferred, or did they want you there because that's where they thought you shined?
That's an awesome question, and the answer is not as straightforward as you would think, because I love technical design. I love mechanical things. I love engineering. But what I loved about being a product manager, and just to be honest, like, I'm being really, really honest about how I felt with my job there. I felt like, as an engineer at first, it was like your dream is to design motorcycles, right? And then you get there and you find out that all the decision-making capabilities of the engineer are maybe a little bit lower than you would like them to be. You know what I mean? So and my whole dream was to drive the product, to make change, to make cool things. And when you can't actually make some of the decisions, it's frustrating. It feels like you're doing the technical work, but it's not. You might disagree. That's the problem with being passionate about something. Is like if you disagree with it, you're going to lose sleep over it.
Oh, baby, I so get that.
Yeah. It's like I could design toilets for Kohler or lawnmower engines for Briggs and Stratton, and if somebody told me, no, that's not what we're doing something else, I would sleep like a baby because I wouldn't really care.
It breaks your heart, right? It breaks your heart. Yep.
Yeah, it does. Product manager, I can make those decisions. So although I missed out on some of the technical in that role, I felt like I had the ability to drive the product, and that's what I wanted.
Right on.
That's awesome.
So when they reorged, our company has really been, going through some stuff the last few years, and there's been a number of restructuring activities, and that was one of them. They put me back in engineering.
Right on. Yeah, I love that story, how it went from, the only reason you went to school for engineering was because of motorcycles, and then the whole thing about like right out of the gate, boom, you're with Harley engineering, something you totally hadn't set out. Like most people who end up in a job like that, like you were talking about, they groom themselves their whole lives to end up in that position. It's so badass that you just like made up your mind that that's what you were doing and went after it.
Thanks. Yeah, it felt pretty good. Actually, I remember getting the call when they called me to actually offer me the job and move to Milwaukee. I was working as an engineer at that other company, and I walked into a quiet conference room that was empty by myself, and then they made this offer, and I just remember jumping up and down as high as I could, and like kind of not screaming but screaming, kind of like trying to stay cool.
Right? Yeah, you scream inside. I've had a couple opportunities like that. You want to tell the world, but you got to be the cool kid.
Yeah.
Right on. That's awesome. That's a great story. I love that.
Thanks.
So I have a picture up of, I believe this was the bike that you had in Lichter's show. The black one has gold fork tubes and a little.
Yep.
So let's talk about that bike a little bit, because from a design standpoint, that motorcycle is so expressive of where we are in time with this right now. There's such a mixture of old school and a little bit of performance. You got almost a nod to like the FXR thing that's going on now. There's so many different things, but unlike most people that I see try to do things like this where they're blending periods and cultures and everything, you put that together so well. Like it was actually handled probably the only way that you could to pull that off.
Man, thanks so much. That's awesome. Because I that's one of the things I lost sleep over, is just thinking about that. Because sometimes I have a track record of biting off more than I can chew, and when I get all these wild ideas, I have to just really step back and remind myself, like, how do you do this in a way that's like accomplishes what you want, but is still really tasteful? Because when it comes down to it, I really gravitate towards simple bikes. Like I really gravitate towards like Matt Jackson builds a hell of a motorcycle to me. It's like those things it's just unreal. He's just like got the best taste, and it's not like a secret recipe. It's just really elegant and beautiful. So I've always kind of gravitated towards bikes like that. But if I get an opportunity to build one, I just like go nuts. And so I try to go nuts and keep it when you stand back 20 feet, like you shouldn't be like, that thing is crazy.
Mm. No, man, I'll tell you what, like this bike stood out in that crowd for me. And it was really because it almost even gave a tip of the hat to history. Like I could see the 80s Harley in this. You know what I mean? Like I could see this bike having been that 80s Harley first, where like a lot of custom bikes you see today, it almost doesn't even matter what it was in the beginning of its life. You know what I mean? I can see
exactly.
that. I can see that influence in this.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, that's where I was coming from with it. And the whole, it's a matter of doing some executing your weird ideas about rear suspension and trying to keep what you're going after. Actually, the last time you guys called me, or the last time I was on the podcast, I think I was on my second night out of a 3-night all-nighter binge, because I was in the middle of building that thing.
Yeah.
That's right. It wasn't done.
Yeah, that whole part of it is incredible too. I don't even think you can tell from the pictures here, but tell everybody about the suspension system in the back, because they probably just think at first sight it's just a straight hardtail.
Yeah, and actually, so did Shige from Moon Eyes when he was looking at it before he gave me the invite. He's like, he didn't catch it until somebody pointed it out to him, and then his eyes opened up and he thought, wow, that's kind of what I was hoping would happen is you look at it and you don't see that stuff, because I've always liked the idea of a performance chopper that has just enough give or suspension to take the sting away from your kidneys when you hit those, in our case, Milwaukee potholes that can bite you pretty good. But some of those ways around that I've seen have looked kind of crazy. You either have shocks that are visible in line of the frame tubes, or mountain bike shocks. I just had this new idea and I thought, man, that's it. Maybe I can make this happen. And I laid it out in CAD and just started machining parts in the garage and welding it together, and off I went.
Great. That's killer.
So the seat post of the frame is the air reservoir, and there's a built-in manifold that's a structural part of the frame, and there's just different air fittings plumbed to that. So there's 2 air circuits and 2 sets of solenoid valves, like both a fill valve and a dump valve for both the shock, which is under the transmission, and that's what gives your wheel travel, so you can just raise the fender off the tire. It's kind of like I got a lot of inspiration from motorcycles that aren't like choppers to kind of figure some of this stuff out.
That's awesome.
Okay, so we have a question coming in from Chopper Town. Do you guys know what jet comes stock with a Super E carburetor?
Oh.
68,000s, I think, main jet, and like a 28.5 intermediate.
There you go. Derek Butler, you're lucky we have the guest that we have tonight, because I have a book. Listen, honestly, dude, I don't know if it's my age or whatever. I have no random access memory left for shit.
That's because you have so much. Well, you have a creative mind too.
I have to keep notebooks and notes in my phone and manuals on stuff. I can't retain numbers. I'm horrible.
I just remember the stuff that doesn't matter. I can't remember the stuff that does matter.
Oh, I think that's the creative mind, because he's very much that way. I'll ask him something really important that I know he knows, and he can't tell me, but he can tell me what he had for cereal when he was 5 years old.
Do you guys use a calendar too? If I don't use a calendar, I'll forget that I'm supposed to be somewhere at some point.
Everything is on my calendar, and I'm his calendar. We have a shared calendar, but he has to remember to look at said calendar. So I'm his calendar.
As long as you got the system.
Right. So now I'm really intrigued by this. I don't want to go back to the suspension system, but we ride choppers. Our daily riders are always choppers. We have an Ultra. We've ridden it once in 5 years. Well, since our honeymoon. We just ride choppers. So there's the ability to make it slightly more comfortable.
Because we are getting older.
Well, seriously, when you're on a 9-foot chopper with a skinny king queen, and you're on it for a couple 100 miles a day, it hurts a little bit.
Yeah, it's though you can be proud of what you just did,
Yeah,
and especially too. Is that you guys on one bike, or is that you guys on two bikes?
I ride with him.
That's awesome, because I was just talking with somebody today about how I've done 700-mile days on a chopper just a couple of times where you're really, really beat. But I've never done that many miles 2-up. I don't know how many 2-up miles I've done on a hardtail. Maybe 150, 200 miles 2-up.
Yeah, we'll get in a couple hundred in a day if we're riding 2-up.
That's awesome.
The bike that we ride the most, or have ridden the most that way, is actually more comfortable when we're both on it.
Really?
It's more comfortable for me to ride with Heather than for me to ride by myself.
Yeah,
That's cool.
he's got this great way with his frame geometry that just it's so smooth and flows so nice that I can ride it all day with him.
And is that like a tall king queen where you're sitting up and you can
Yep.
see over?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yep.
I sold a bike once and I rode it out to a town that's like 40 miles away from here to sell it to this guy, and then rode back on my friend's panhead. And that was the only time I've ever sat on the back of a seat like that, where it's like a really, really high, kind of passenger seat. And I felt like, man, this is great. I can see everything.
Yep.
You know?
Yep. It is. It's great. I love it. I'm a total chopper girl at heart.
You also kind of catch air every once in a while, you know?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Trust me. Trust me.
That's part of the fun though, man. Like I love being hot in a bend. Like hauling ass in a bend and hitting that freeze bump, and for that 1 second that you don't know if it's gonna go to total shit or if you're gonna win.
So
but it usually works out though, you know?
It does. Sometimes it's interesting. Like we went on a ride a few months ago with a bunch of guys down in the Blue Ridge Mountains, and we were on the 73 shovel chopper, like 9 feet long, and he's riding with these kids that are on these little zippy XS 650s. And he's going like 90 miles an hour with me on it through the Blue Ridge Mountains.
3 deep with them. And they were like eyes big like pie plates. And they were like, oh my God, we got back. They said, dude, you're crazy. I said, no, listen, that is definitely as fast as you should ride a long motorcycle. Like, don't be very impressed with it, because I was scared as hell, but we were having fun, right?
As long as when you were going around those corners, you weren't like, you ever ridden behind somebody on those corners with like you have a Springer?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You see them go into that pretty heavy shimmy. Mm-hmm. Like the little corner shimmy, that one always scares me to see somebody else. You're not scared if it's you, but you're scared if you see somebody else.
Yep.
No shimmies.
Well, and see, because I rode dirt bike for a long time, I understand that like when you get to that part of the turn, if you throttle through it, it sucks to the ground and you're good.
Yep.
If you pay attention to the shimmy, you're fucked.
Yeah.
No shimmy. Xavier.
If you're good with dirt bikes, you're good with your bike feeling loose under you too. You can just kind of roll with it.
Yep. Just pretend it's sand.
Xavier said, because those two are gods. I don't know Xavier, who are you talking about?
Well, listen, man, it's been great talking to you. I don't want to keep you tied up here, but definitely tell everybody where they can follow you and pay attention to what you have coming out, and where Heather can send a check for that neck cup bearing installer.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, thanks again, guys. I really appreciate you having me on. It's always a pleasure. You guys are such good talkers, man. It makes me feel a lot more at ease. But anybody who's out there is interested in some quality V-twin engine tools and chassis tools for any kind of American motorcycle, if you go to fasteddyco.com, that's EDDY for Eddie, or you can find out all our products and what we have out, and our Instagram's also at fasteddyco. So just hit me up on there, and trying to make sure you're not disappointed.
Right on. Well, those links to that are in the comments section of this. Chris, you are welcome to come on and chat with us anytime about anything you want. You're a pleasure to talk to.
Man, that's great. Thank you so much.
And keep us posted about what you're building.
For sure.
Yeah,
you build some rad stuff, and you ride some rad stuff. So
where are you going next? What's next for you, where people could catch you out live, or where we might run into you?
Oh, man, what do I got? I'm going is Born Free? No, Mama Tried, I guess, would be the next thing. And we're setting up a table at Mama Tried and slinging some tools for anybody who's in Milwaukee. It's in March this year for the first time. I think it's what is that?
The weekend of the 15th, like I think.
Yeah, it's about there. So, come out, check it out. It's the same venue it was the last couple of years at the rave there, the Eagles Club.
Right on.
Awesome.
You guys going to make it out for that?
We're going to be in Daytona because they coincide.
Straight from Daytona to Texas. We got
nice.
tons of stuff going on in Texas.
Well, that sounds like better weather.
Yeah. Yep. I'm not going to complain. I'd rather take Florida and Texas over
Listen.
The,
You can
the
get
snow.
you can get me to Milwaukee just for fried cheese curds. I'm not gonna lie. Like honestly, other than Pittsburgh, people in Milwaukee have like total respect for food and beer, like no other place you'll go in the country.
Yeah, we got those two things down, you know.
Weather, not so much. Well,
All
right
right,
on,
man.
Chris. Thank you so much for coming on and giving us your time on Sunday night. And again, I truly mean that you're a welcome on anytime. Keep us posted. When you do release new tools, send me a picture and a little write-up, and we'll get it in our new products and share it with the world for you.
Awesome.
Yes,
Thanks, guys. I really appreciate it.
All right, Chris. We'll see you on the road, buddy.
Talk soon.
Awesome. Mark, are you still here?
I think we
No.
have to call him back. He
I thought I
lost
did.
service.
Well, go ahead. What do you got from social media? Because
Oh,
there's been tons of comments.
I
I feel
know.
bad that I've kind of.
Let's see. Oh, Xavier said that you and I are gods because he's been behind us and was like, WTF?
No.
Ed Chambers, great show as always, and it was awesome meeting you two at Cycle Showcase. Yes, it was such a pleasure meeting you, Ed.
How about we finally got somebody actually responding here from
From
Twitch.
Twitch. I know, that's
That's
so
awesome.
cool. It's the first time for everything. I love
Yep.
it. Let's see. Air on a Chopper is the best. That's Bill Stevens. New Holland, Ohio. We had somebody from Romania on here earlier, and Glasgow, Scotland. I get so excited when I see people from all over the world tune in. It's so neat. It's so neat.
Okay, so tell Mark to call us.
Mark, call Chris.
We're going to take 2 seconds to try to get Mark back on the line. When we come back, we're going to talk about Daytona events because they're coming up fast and there's plenty of them. So don't go anywhere. We'll be back in 2 minutes with more Shop Talk.
For more information on the products listed in this video, click on the link in the description area below. Feel free to call us with any questions or place an order at 800-969-7501. Don't forget to subscribe.
Now she's over buckles, she's over spurs. To her, you're just a heartache in a pearl snap shirt. Been lassoed and let go for the last time. No, she ain't just over me, she's over me and my kind.
I guess congratulations are in order. And here's Mark coming back in just in time.
Mark,
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 To accept. Okay. I've sent the caller to voicemail. Goodbye.
we are losing on this call connect.
so what do we what congratulations are in order?
The apparently the Kansas City Chiefs are Super Bowl winners. We're announcing it here.
I want to know who won the Puppy Bowl. That's all I care about.
Greg White stoked for Daytona. Where's I saw JC Guns on here a couple times. I want to give a shout out to her. Mark, are you back with us?
I'm back. I am out
Okay.
of the dead zone.
Okay.
Hiya.
So if you guys missed the first part of the show, Mark's actually still traveling, coming back from the St. Louis Cycle Showcase. Big love to Randy and everybody, man. They take care of us so good down there. And just an incredible event. It was literally like, it's one of those events where we always talk about getting to see our motorcycle family and all. And this was like None of that shit. This was just like really the people that you wanted to see, and you know, a lot of them we haven't seen for a long time. It was so badass.
And it just went one step further. Apparently, they were having a little chili party. They were watching the Super Bowl, and Kansas City just won the Super Bowl.
Yep.
So
yeah, we just announced. Congratulations.
The local team. Right on. Yeah.
I have to say, really, really wish that we hadn't had to split early, because there were so many people there and so many cool bikes. I don't think I ever really got past the front
door.
I never got past, and we were there for 5 hours. I never got past the front door because there was just constantly somebody to talk to.
Every time you walked in, there was a circle right around, which the cool part about it was when you walked in the door, War Pony, which is
that was so cool.
A bike, which is in all reality a historical bike for Cyclosaurs. The bike that actually helped Chris, bring Cyclosaurs to the world.
Mark, did you pay Randy to put that there?
No, dude, he had planned that. I'll tell you, and Chris said it before. Randy was so excited when Chris said, "All right, dude," because obviously Chris wanted Bone Daddy there, and that's the bike to me that was the new one, and to us we're super proud. That was our own paint job and all that, but Randy was so excited to put that thing there that he actually made us turn it around so it looked like it was riding out the door. So when people came in, it was the first thing they saw. So it was fantastic.
And I wish I could say that there's something about me that's special that Randy gives me that, but he does that with everybody that comes there. If he has 50 bikes in that show, those are 50 relationships that he has with 50 people that he's given that all of them that kind of attention, and he knows he's invested in their story and what they build and what they're doing, and you know what I mean. It's not just a list at all.
He had said middle afternoon today. I'm like, dude, this was awesome. He goes, no, really, just not because anybody that knows us, Randy and Chris and me, Heather, and we're all the whole group. We're good friends. Randy is family. He's a great guy. We all love him to death. But he was like, I'm asking your opinion because this is what you guys do. And I'm like, I can't be more honest on the fact that we've been to a lot of shows and we've been like, yeah, it's cool, dude. You got to go. This one here is really one you have to go see. Yeah. The setup, what the people bring to the table. Everybody helps out, and they're so it's so easy. There.
Yeah, it was just
everybody really feel welcome.
It was beautifully done. You could tell he did it from his heart, and the venue was perfect. But it was just a really great vibe. It was so good.
Yeah. One of mine and Jeff's lines, which we do a lot of traveling, we all do. But one of the special parts about this event is we never once got in the van. The hotel was right there. The event was right there. The food was right there. It was this great little circle, and it was. We had said probably the best thing was you walked anywhere, wasn't even a far walk. So
everything was right there. It was great.
Yeah, and everybody was a friend, like Chris said. This was 50 people, and we knew the majority of everyone in that crowd. And if you didn't, they went out of their way to come over and introduce themselves. Mm-hmm. And again, I mean, a lot of people don't know. It's odd, and I know Chris and Heather will both say it, for people to come up and say, "Oh my God, I love what you do," and it's this was
really.
Different.
Have you seen
are
that?
you sure? I want to say, do you know? Are you sure you're talking to the right person?
Well, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I know.
Well, for me, my first experience of that was in Texas, and at first I thought the guy was hitting on me. You know what I'm saying? So it's still weirds me out, and anybody that knows me, I'm not a person that wanted my face out there. But Shop Talk and what we do, this is a whole different scene for me.
Right.
So, but it's awesome how great everybody is, and how and it says it again, how close this group is.
Yep.
So it was great to be a part of it. To spend the time with Randy and actually get to go there because I'd never been there. It's my first time at.
Hey, and you know what, dude? For me, Heather tells me,
hey, you know, while we're at Cycle Showcase, we got to make some time and hang out with Joe from Motion Pro. And I'm like, okay. So in the back of my head,
Dude,
it's
those
just
guys
like
are so cool.
it's on the
Right?
list of things that I need to do. You couldn't get me away from that cat.
I know,
Like
he was
I
great.
find
No,
out
dude,
that
they're cool as shit.
he's a punk rocker, a skateboard rider, like, you know, and the motorcycle thing. Like we ended up all day long. I was happy to stand right there and just talk to him. And then we had the best burrito on the planet down the street, dude.
I know, dude. I was bummed. You called. We had just left to go do something. When you had called and said we're going to dinner, I'm like, son of a bitch, I'm going to miss that.
Yeah.
Those guys are a ton of fun. They're so nice. And yet have some really good shit that they offer. You know what I mean?
Yep. Yep.
So their stuff is top of the line.
So
it
next
was
year
cool
I'm
to meet
staying
them.
for the bowling and the chili. I don't care what's going on.
Yep.
Like we'll just
It
do
was fun.
everything from
And the-
there.
And the pizza, the little food and snacks and stuff at that bowling alley were killer.
Right on.
Like they had these little thin crust pizzas. Like it was. They were so good. Me and Jeff got one to go. So how about that?
Hey, Barkley Smash, he's in on social media, and he says, really great to get a chance to talk to Market and Jeff today. Great show. What'd you give him, $20? What's the deal?
Yeah, no. We actually said, hey, we were nice to people. We put down our barriers. You know, we're like, we actually talked to Bill Dodge at the end of this. You know, some people think we're unapproachable. That guy just blew the barrier down and came in and talked to us, which is cool. You know, I don't ever want anybody to think that they can't come up and talk to us. We enjoy, you know, it's great to actually, like I said, it's weird for me, but once you get past that, to actually meet the people that send these messages in that you don't know,
hell yeah.
and hear their stories and stuff, it's really cool. And I know it's like it's weird for the person that's, you know, behind the microphone, but now that I'm in that situation to meet these people and they're so enthusiastic and they really dig, you know, and
it
they're
makes
like,
it
what are
worth
you
it.
doing? I'm like,
It makes it worth it, man.
Yeah,
It makes
it
because
does.
there's a lot of
And
work
like
that
I
goes
said,
behind all this shit. It really is.
there is, and let me tell you, and I'm going to say it, you know, here, just like I do there, that thank you for the ability to do this because you're the guy that makes this happen.
Oh.
Not only makes it happen for us, but so many other people. I've heard so many people tell me that this weekend. You are an amazing factor inside this industry. You've come a long way, and
This is gonna.
good.
I'm right. Listen.
It is. Me and Jeff have a list right now, so that's what I'm doing this for. We have demands.
All right on.
But
So
no, in all reality, for everybody that, you know, a lot of people had come and said, you know, what you do for this industry is epic. I told them you're an asshole, but nobody believed me.
Nice.
So listen, there's a conversation going on right now, back and forth with Choppertown, and this cat. Somebody had asked him what the.
I asked him what the custom scene was like in Romania.
He says in Romania we don't have all expensive bikes, but we make our bikes in our garage. We just have one Harley Davidson shop in the country. We buy bikes and parts from Germany, and we order exhaust only from USA because in Europe they all do with decibel killer, and bikes here are like coffee machines. So, dude, send us some pictures of you and your boys, and what you're riding and stuff. I got actually Mark too. One of our lifelong friends is from Gießen, right outside of Frankfurt, man, and he's a hardcore bike guy. So if you need a hookup in Germany, get a hold of us. But send us pictures of what you guys are riding.
Yeah, especially the garage stuff. We want to see that. Send it to either Choppertown or Cycle Source. That's super cool.
You know, and Ollie keeps complaining he wants us to come visit. How awesome would it be to go to a shop talk in Frankfurt, Germany, and have people like that come and spend time
That would
with
be
us? That'd
super
so
cool.
Oh, dude, that would be the shit, hands down.
You guys are killing me.
I was Facebooking back and forth with Ollie.
Mark,
So,
we have to make
what do you
this
mean,
happen.
Julie? That's the cool shit right there. You, we should. We have to. It would be fantastic.
That would be so. I saw that. I read it wrong. He wasn't the first one.
No, he was one of the first cycle showcases.
Oh, okay. I was like, he was there and I missed it? That's not fair.
All right, well, let's go through some events real quick because we're about to...
Daytona.
You want to start with Daytona?
Yes, we're super excited about Daytona.
Daytona is coming up fast, man. And you know what we're going to talk about first and foremost, last and not least, is Tropical Tattoos Chopper Time. Greatest show on earth. All hail Willie Jones.
That's on Thursday, March 12th.
Hands down, the best event of the year. Not cutting anybody else down. The vibe at Chopper Time is hands down the best. It truly is. what he does in that little parking lot's off the charts.
Oh,
Yep.
right.
And I mean, he's fought tooth and nail over the years to keep it exactly that way.
Right.
You know,
Everybody's
Willie's,
like, oh, have it here, have it
Yeah,
here. And he's like, well, then it wouldn't be Willie's.
But then I mean, even with like a lot of people have, you know, big companies have come at him and stuff and wanted it, you know, to change a little bit and be a little more of this, a little more of that. And he's like, no, this is what it is, man. This is an old time biker show, you know.
And it's the only real old time biker show in all reality anywhere. I mean, there's nowhere else like that.
Nope.
You can't get that feel at any other event.
So, big long week in Daytona. Let's start off with the beginning of the week. One of my favorite events. I'm so glad that it's back. It came back last year, and it's happening again. Sunday, March 8th, Warren Lane's True Grit Antique and Chopper Gathering at the Broken Spoke.
Right on.
If you
that'll be cool.
if you guys missed that last year, man, like it was really, really good. Like it was natural, like it has a home now, so don't miss that. Tuesday, wait a minute, Monday we have mini bike racing, mini bike flat tracks, and Cycle Source and Handmade Lot night at the Broken Spoke. We're gonna have a great big party. Tuesday, Cycle Source. Oh, what's that you say? You don't know what the Handmade Lot is? Tisk, tisk.
Well, why don't you tell the fine folks about the Handmade Lot, sir?
The Handmade Lot is a collection of some rowdy cats that I know that hand make their own motorcycles. Some of the list will be F&A Cycles, Bling Cycle, Helmet Division, Flat Broke Chops and Rods, and No School Choppers, just to name a few. We're adding more to the list by the day.
Providence Cycle Works.
Who is building a giveaway motorcycle
right
for the High Seas Rally, man. And like we're getting regular updates from that, but you'll actually be able to talk to Xavier there about stuff with the cruise. We're going to be on the cruise. Is that crazy?
It's so crazy.
Oh, boy.
Well, what's really cool is
Mark, we're mini bike racing
we're
on
mini
a
bike
cruise
racing
boat.
on the cruise ship.
Yeah. That sounds like a lot of fun, but I get nervous in the middle of the water. I don't know if I could do it.
I've never been on a cruise, but to be able to bring motorcycling to a cruise ship is going to be pretty neat, I think.
Yeah, so listen, it sounds
totally
like this
freaks
thing
me out.
sounds like this thing's going to be off the hook. Like we're actually going to do me and X are going to do a couple Grease and Gears garage segments. You know, we got the mini bike racing. We're planning on doing a virtual bike show, and I'll tell you guys about that later. We're actually going to put a whole thing about it on our website, but the bike he's building is for, what's the name of the foundation? I'm sorry, it slips my mind.
Debbie's Diabetes. Oh, totally put me on the spot.
Great cause that, you know, the whole thing is going down for, so make sure you check that out. We're going to have tons of stuff starting next week. We're going to have it all over the place. So any information that you need, just reach out to me or Heather through the magazine, and we'll hook you up.
So I'm going to try and convince them to let us bring our collection of motorcycles to the cruise ship so we can really make it like about motorcycles.
Heather.
Yeah. Hey, I'm trying. Life jackets required, helmets not so much.
Right. So
Go back to Daytona.
Our chopper show in Daytona on Tuesday. Wednesday, it's become a staple, man. You can't miss the Pirouettes Paint Show. Also at the Broken Spoke.
Sure.
Yep. And then Friday, we're going to be helping out with the guys from Dennis Kirk who are going to do their
Garage Build Bike Show. And I have to apologize. I did not give you the graphics for this, but we would be remiss if we didn't mention Sons of Speed, which is the first Saturday night. I believe at 6 p.m. at New Smyrna Beach Speedway. That's Billy Lane's 10th running of Sons of Speed.
Can you believe that's been 10 races already? Can you even handle
crazy.
that?
So, and again, that is Saturday night.
The first one seems like just yesterday.
Well, and what we're trying to do right now, I actually called Billy and he was tied up this week, but we're going to try to get him on within the next week here so that we can talk about some of the stuff, because they're actually, I heard some rumors about a big anniversary pre-party and all kind of stuff.
So we need to get to Daytona early.
Yep.
Ooh. And this is not necessarily motorcycle related, but it is my husband and my friends, so I can go ahead and tell everybody, the Black Smoke Sinners are going to be playing a couple shows in Daytona.
I know. Listen, and I'm gonna say this in front of God and everyone. This is happening because of Melissa Penland, and I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. Like, Melissa has long been a rainbow chaser for me. Anytime I come up with a half-assed idea, she's down for it, and she's letting us play some really, really killer time slots, and I'm super stoked. And I mean, the guys in the band, all the guys that I'm in the band with, they're super talented and totally deserve to play shows like that. But I'm humbled. That
and I have to say, I mean, she's not letting you play because you suck. I'm just saying.
Well, I said the other guys are really good.
So, and I don't want to forget, Xavier just asked me to remind everybody that on Friday, March 6th at the Iron Horse, there is a Sons of Speed meet and greet with Josh Owens, Billy Lane, and Javier Muriel.
There you go.
I believe at 10 o'clock, if I remember correctly. But we'll get all that stuff on our website, including the Black Smoke Sinners show dates and times.
Shameless self-promotion. Stop it.
Hey.
All right.
Why do you think we started this show?
Let's go.
For real?
Let's go through a couple other of the events that are going on around the country. In short order, March 28th and 29th, the Donnie Smith Show up in Minnesota. Crazy, crazy good time. No other event like it in the country. Don't miss that one. The Space Coast Chopper Show also going on in February 15th. Coming up real fast. The Chill. We were waiting to report on this one. Finally got some information. Hoping to have a representative there to get us a good set of pictures.
I think Pat
and
Jansen is going to be there, so I'm going to ask him if he can hook us up with that.
I wore a Pat Jansen shirt on Saturday.
And then he covered it with a flannel so he could tease Pat. Next weekend, February 7th, 8th, and 9th, 2020, the One Motorcycle Show. And that looks like all I have for...
I think that's all we have for now. Do you have the Fandango?
I don't.
Okay. Well, we'll tell you more about that. We've been showing it every week, but that's a super cool Texas Vintage Fandango in Fredericksburg, Texas, first week in April. Chris and I will be there, along with...
Actually, we're doing
Speed
like
Bump and
a month worth of events in Texas.
I think so.
There's so much going on. Texas is the place, dude.
Drew Woodford, Cave Creek, Arizona Bike Week, March 27th through April 5th. That would be a good one to get on our calendar.
Yep.
Arizona Bike Week, yeah, that's they say that's killing it right now.
Yeah, they say that's a good one.
We're trying to get a bike show together for there. We'll see how that goes.
Mark, you look like you're drooling on yourself a little bit. Fix him.
Oh boy, somebody clean me up. Give me a towel, Chris.
He did. He just fixed you.
All right, man. I think we got... Oh, wait a minute. There's one more piece of news. Let's not go before we do our whole job here. Last piece of news for the night. Harley-Davidson just reported its worst quarterly sales in recent history. Harley-Davidson reported the lowest quarterly sales since shares of the motorcycle leader started their long slide in 2014. December quarter revenue from its motorcycle unit was 6% worse than Wall Street's already pessimistic forecast, while earnings fell short of expectations by 15%. Chief Executive Matt Levitich tried to counter the skid in the company's announcement, saying, "Our performance in Q4 and the full year was in line with our expectations and indicative of increased business stability." This is the part that gets, I don't think people understand like the breadth of a company like Harley-Davidson. So combined revenue from Harley-Davidson motorcycle and finance businesses was 1.07 billion for the quarter, compared with 1.5 billion a year earlier. That brought full year 2019 revenue to 5.36 billion compared to 5.72 billion in 2018. Now take that in. Billion with a B.
Billion.
Yeah, B.
And they're off a couple points there, but I think everybody's going to be okay.
Yeah. I mean, they'll be all right. Yeah.
Oh God.
Yeah. I mean, we're not going to go down that road. The show's coming to a close, but that could be hours.
Mark will really be slumping by the end of that one.
I know.
Oh boy.
All right, man. Listen, I want to tell you guys, whatever it is that you're going to do,
do it with some people that you dig as much as we dig everybody that we were just with in St. Louis. That's what this shit's really about. If you have to be by yourself, do it in a garage, because that's where it's at.
So, and I'm going to remind everybody that next week, Sunday night, 9 p.m. Eastern, we are going to be joined by Lisa Ballard from Chop Cult.
Nice.
That's going to be good. She's a longtime friend of Cycle Source, and I'm glad to have her on.
Lisa Ballard's been around a long time.
And Billy Lane, tell Billy to get in touch with us, and we'll have him on next week for Sons of Speed.
For sure. And I am going to let people know right now that on Sunday, February 16th, there will be no show because Chris is going to be off being a rock star for the weekend.
Dude, we get to open for the Blackheart Saints. That's awesome.
So he's going to be away in Texas doing a show with Xavier and the guys from Black Smoke Sinners. We will be returning on Sunday, February 23rd. And we have a couple guests that we have Greg McFarland from the Texas Fandango. And we also have Stephanie Pete, who I'm super excited to have on. She is just an all-around amazing motorcyclist that we had the pleasure of meeting at the 2020 Tucker Dealer Show. I don't even know how long ago that was now. It's like just all. But like since then, I've been in so many places already.
Heather, do you understand the premise of this here? We get together once a week with shit that we're supposed to tell other people. We put these cameras and microphones up. Never mind.
I've been in like 3 different time zones in 2 days. Knock it off. Anyway, we got some good stuff coming up.
All right, man. We're gonna let you guys go. Mark, you got anything else before we wrap?
No, we're getting close to making the transition from one vehicle to the other. Beverly's going to be happy. I almost have Jeff home safe. I'm not going to get yelled at.
Well, there you go.
Tell Jeff we said thanks for putting up with us. Making the show happen inside of his truck.
Right in the van. He'll send you a bill.
Yeah.
So
right on.
Yeah, sure it's going to cost you somewhere, but yeah, we're real close, and it was. I'm glad we were able to at least get on and be able to do the show. That's cool. So.
Yep. All right, man. Well, listen, thank all you guys for watching, letting us into your headspace. Make sure you hit the share button. Tell everybody else that Sundays at 9 p.m., that's time for Shop Talk. We'll see you guys next week. And for the love of God, go do something with your motorcycle. Until then, same chopper time.
Same chopper channel.
It'll be another episode of Shop Talk.